Recording. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another installment of the GhostComms podcast. I'm your host, Jatmon, joined by my co-host, Vishal, and today we actually have the second ever returning member of the GhostComms family. We have CMills doing his own solo episode. He was in the DreamHack Dallas IRL episode that we did. We wanted to sit him down, kind of get more in-depth and maybe targeted conversation with him because Dallas was just kind of a shoot the shit type of thing. So we just kind of wanted to sit him down and really pick his brain. Because, I mean, speaking from personal experience, you were one of the most exciting and stimulating conversations that I had at Dallas. Like, it was super easy to talk to you. I mean, we sat and talked for probably like an hour, you, me, Jank, T-Church, like whoever, like before the podcast, like just like, you know, talking in the premium BYOC room. And it was really enjoyable. I think you're one of the pioneers of the scene. I think you're going to be someone who's really successful in this industry and builds a lot of successful shit. So it's really nice to be able to kind of get in your head and talk to you a little bit. But thanks for coming on.
Thanks for the kind words.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Dude, I Vishal, I think I texted you. I was like, dude, CMills is the fucking future.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Dude, no.
That was the thing you texted
it's
me at
not-
3 a.m.
Yeah. I did.
After the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, so that Dallas pod, that was so sick. Like sitting
Yeah.
down and just like chatting it. Like we hit so many topics. So
Mhm.
if you haven't, go give that a watch already.
Yeah. Well, and we had so many more. Like, I pulled out my tablet with all of my notes, and like there were like probably 15 topics that we didn't even touch on that we could have gone on an hour plus for each.
Oh,
Like,
dude.
It was just
I
too
could
late
talk
at
about
night,
this
dude.
stuff all day. Literally all day. It's crazy.
yeah. Well, and you've got a super unique view on it too. So for everyone who doesn't know that's listening, CMills is a manager. Manages names like Asian Jeff, Kwanti, Peterbot. Are those your? Do you have more?
Bylah,
Okay.
Larson, Oliver OG. You know, I
They just
work
can't
with
fit
a lot
the
of.
bio. They just can't
Yeah,
fit the bio, you know what I mean?
I work with a lot of the pros, but like
Yeah.
it's mostly fish cord.
That's what I was
a
gonna
lot of
say.
those-
Yeah, they're in the same friend
Yeah.
group. Yeah.
A lot of them are in the same friend group, but there's like people from the outside who, on occasion, I've helped out, and they've reached out to me, and they're just like, "Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that?" And I
Mhm.
always will help. Like Jarian, for example, who's like
Mm.
nowhere, related to any of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I was
yeah.
able to help them out at Invitational, recording stuff and
Cool.
trying to, develop high value skills.
Yeah. Well, so what I was getting at is you've got a lot of interesting perspective because you're in it, but you're not like a name that people go, oh yeah, that's CMills. A lot of the people in that upper tier, but like not like a viewer or an audience member per se. But before we kind of get how you got there, just give us some background on you. Where'd you grow up? How was gaming a part of that? I mean, we touched on this a little bit, but I kind of want to do a deep dive into your life.
Okay, yeah. So I grew up in a small town in Michigan. On the hand, it's like in the middle, like southern part. It's called Bylah Creek, small town. It was rated like the #1 worst town to raise a child in. Like it was rated that in the country, #1 worst town. Which is, like,
brothers.
Wow.
yeah, it's
That's rough.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And so I've been very fortunate and blessed to have a great family that's always supporting of me. And yeah, so I got into gaming. I think I was like 7 or 8, and my dad got me an Xbox 360, and I was playing like NCAA 14 and like all the NCAA games, 2K, Madden,
Yep.
shit like that. Then I had like a Wii when I was younger, and then finally I was trying to convince my parents, like, hey, will you give me a computer? Like, I've been playing these games, and I got into Minecraft. Played Minecraft as a kid,
That's
just
Vishal's
kinda stuff
passion.
Like that.
I never
Best
touched
game
Minecraft,
ever.
but
Love
yeah.
that game with
It's
a
so
passion.
fun.
So
I
fun.
love
I've
it.
never
It's
gotten
so
the
fun.
hype,
Can't get old
dude.
of it.
I've never gotten the hype. I
God
I
damn,
don't know.
I
I
enjoy
like
that
I
game
played
with a
like
passion.
Pocket Edition and like PC, like
No,
a
dude,
little
no,
bit. Like
Pocket Edition
but-
doesn't
No.
count, dude. Pocket Edition does
It
not
doesn't.
count
I
at all.
don't
Not even
know,
on
dude.
PC, it doesn't count, dude. It does not. It don't
It
was
touch
so
half that
fun.
stuff.
It was so fun. And so
I
yeah,
hate
I
Pocket
got into
Edition
that, and I played like competitive, dude. I was good. I was a little
Same. Same.
fragger back in my day.
That's
I
why
played. I played Hunger Games. Am I the only one?
yeah.
I was ripping
You play
Hunger Games, and then
play
I played
UHC?
Skybounds,
Skybounds,
which was
okay.
Beijing Canadian server.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I actually,
yeah.
Jeez,
Well,
that's
we,
a
like, killed
name.
them multiple
That name
times.
awakens something in me. That's like a sleeper agent
Canadian?
name.
I don't know what
Beijing
happened to that.
Canadian, dude.
He falls under a different name now. I
Well,
forgot what
like,
it is.
what was like that like era? It was like Stampy Cat was like one of the other names that
Asian
comes to
Canadian,
mind.
the
Beijing
pack.
Canadian.
Jerome ASF,
Yeah,
Star,
dude.
Gem,
Holy shit. Yeah,
Lachlan,
Sun
you're.
Fuel.
Wolfos,
That
Preston
wasn't
Plays.
really me. That was like my little brothers. But I remember like every day, they're like the iPad
Yeah,
kid era. Like
yeah.
that was all they watched
that
all the
dude,
time.
I'd come home from school, I'd like plop some like bagel bites in the oven, and I would literally sit there like pull out my iPad and start watching them, bro. Like 4th, 5th grade, and
Bro,
I loved it.
I think that whole Lucky Block phase or whatever it was, that was I
That's
enjoyed that
crazy.
thing so much.
Mm.
I don't know why it was so fun to watch.
So I don't know if you guys know Redux. He's in the
Yeah.
community. So
Yeah, yeah.
Redux, I met Redux through Beijing Canadian server, and then I
Wow.
hop back on it like a year later. I go, yo, what the fuck, like Redux? Why are you on here? And he's like, yo, like I play this all the time, and I didn't even know it was him, and then it was
Damn.
him playing it.
That
And
That's
was
crazy.
I was like,
that was me and Smacked, bro. Me and Smacked were in the same comm for Minecraft because we both played competitive. I didn't know Smack played competitive. Like I didn't know who he was. And then I started watching Fortnite comp. I was like, I swear I've seen this name somewhere. I just can't recollect. And then I look on his YouTube and he has Minecraft highlights. I'm like, holy shit! I remember
so
this kid
funny.
now. He was actually nice with it, and I was like, damn.
yeah.
A lot of the Fortnite pros actually did come from Minecraft. Somewhat
Yeah.
so.
And
Well,
other
Clicks
games too,
started
yeah.
like with like competitive Minecraft too, right? Like that was something
Like,
we've
yeah,
talked
Click
about a few times.
started,
Yeah.
Smack. There was a bunch
Mhm.
of other ones. This guy named Tyler's who got third in the first FNCS back in chapter
Jeez.
1. Yeah, with Blake. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it got to my, I think, sophomore year of high school. I was like, yo, like, I need a PC. And I had this like shitty ass laptop, got 120 frames playing
Mm.
for it. But I was like better. I was better than all my friends. Like I was really good.
Mm.
And then I met people in the comm and I was fucking awful. I didn't realize how bad I was.
Yeah.
I thought I was so
me,
tough.
bro.
Yeah.
That's me,
Yeah.
And then I
bro.
met
That's
people, I
me.
was awful.
Yeah.
And
There's
so
a weird
I,
there's a weird niche where it's like you're way better than the average player, but you're still shit compared to like the average pro, and you just like it's like a limbo. Because like for me, like especially this season, because it's been so fucking boring. Like I'm Unreal, but like I don't like playing Unreal ranked. Like I'm like I'd rather like pub stomp, but like all the people that I want to play with or the people that I do play with are like, nah, like I'm all competitive. I'm like, dude, I can't. I don't want to compete at that level. Like
yeah.
I'm just bored of it. Like I don't know.
Fair enough.
But
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah, so I played that, and then, I was getting better, and then finally I'm like, yo, like, I need a PC, and my ass was lazy. I think I was 15 at the time, and my uncle was like, hey, like, I want to build a computer. Can you, like, help me pick out the parts and, like, do stuff? And I end up, picking out the parts for him, and it's like, yeah, you should get this. At the time, it was like a 2080 i9, like, the best thing you can get. And then, I never got around to building it because I was just like, put it off. And, I would just, hang out. I mean, I was a teenager, you're busy doing shit.
yeah.
And then my uncle got terminally ill with pancreatic cancer and ended up passing away. And when he
Sorry,
passed
lost.
away, yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it was like 5 years ago, I think, 6 years ago, something like that. And something like that, I didn't ever realize, like, I went over there and saw him, and I didn't realize how bad it was. And I kid you not, I couldn't even speak to him. Like, he just wasn't the same person. And he never wanted me to see him, like, sick like that. And I saw him, and I wasn't able to ever say goodbye. And then finally, got the PC built and delivered. And my mom actually was like, hey, your uncle has a PC. And it's like, he left it for you. And so I went, and I was like, all right, like, what, can I have it? And she kept saying, no, like, not yet. Finally, we get it over my house. I open it up, and inside on the graphics card, it said, do great things with a little piece of paper. And then that's how I got started.
That's memorable.
And then
that is very memorable.
after that, I started daily streaming, literally daily. I just would go live every day and then just try and build my brand. And then that's when COVID hit. And then I was like, well, fuck. Now I have to do it every day. Like, that's nothing. I'd literally go to bed 5 a.m., wake up at 3 p.m., go get like a protein shake, come back home, work out, and then just do that the rest of the night. And I did that every day during COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's like sort of got me started. Yeah, I built a good audience. All my friends will watch me because they're at home, and I built a good audience. And I think I averaged like 7 viewers to start, and that got me, kickstarted into the community and started meeting people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because you kind of you told like that story in the 4-hour pod that we did in Dallas, but I kind of wanted to ask you, do you think that like you are a lot farther than you would be if it weren't for that like important of an origin? Like, do you think if you had not like had that boost from like your uncle leaving, basically his dying wish, like to leave that PC with you and to start like,
I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I wouldn't probably even be sitting here. Like I'm not
Mm.
kidding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone all in on it. And
Did
then
you?
like I said,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you got it. You got it.
I was gonna say, did you like sit before that? Did you want to come into like the scene at all, like into
Uh,
any type of gaming scene?
I wasn't serious about it. Like I
Mm.
wasn't serious at all about it. I just would like pop on and play with my friends, and that was
Mm.
Yeah.
it. And then that's what like got me into it because people would come through my chat. Because I had like 7, 8 viewers off rip, like instantly going live, 8 viewers. All my friends would watch, and then people would just
Mm.
come in because it was just like a Kickstarter, and then it like
Mhm.
pushed my stream out. Then all of a sudden I have like 20 viewers, and I have a small community that I'm friends with.
Which is
Yeah.
discoverability before was just something else, and then it all just went downhill after some point.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and it
it's
was in
always been kind
2019.
of bad, but it's like it's more
It
of a
was better
networking
before, at
thing.
least.
Oh
It was
yeah, I
definitely
mean,
better before.
well, because you got to think COVID too. COVID brought
Yeah.
basically everyone that has ever been interested in gaming onto the platform, and it became
Mhm.
and it also was a time where streaming became seen as a viable career, and everything related to esports became seen as a viable career. So now you have basically everyone and their mom and their grandparent thinking that they can make it. So it became like an untapped market to an oversaturated market basically overnight with COVID. So I think it
Yeah.
was like it was the pre-saturation era, especially for Fortnite. Like if you could hop in early, I mean you see that there's still names now. You have the Cypher PKs, the Ninjas, the Dr. Lupos, whatever. Like they got their fame from that early era of Fortnite. We're doing it before when it was an untapped market, and now COVID made it an oversaturated one. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I remember this number correctly, you have an average of 21,000 people streaming for it on Twitch at any given moment. Like that is, so if you have, less than 50, 60 viewers, you're just not getting seen unless you have some kind of other way that you're bringing those people into your chat. Like you will never get on a recommended, like, even when I've peaked at like 70, 80, it's like it shows you in your stats like the peak directory number that you were, and I'm still in
Yeah.
like the 300, 400 mark at that point. It's like you're just buried under masses of people that are bigger than you and have more momentum than you and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's discoverability, but I think that's more due to a saturation issue than any. I don't think it was the Twitch algorithm was better back then or anything like that. It's just there's more people that you're competing with now.
Yeah.
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 Well, there was a lot more people on Twitch in general, and that's why
Mhm.
I was able to grow. So I had 3,000 followers in a year streaming, which was like,
Wow.
for
Nice.
me, and I was from 0 to 3K,
Yeah.
and I was taking that shit serious.
Yeah.
And then I kind of mentioned this in the last podcast too. So, I ended up like making enough money to buy myself a stream PC,
Mhm.
and then that's when I started dating this chick my senior year, and shit went south. And we ended up breaking up, and I was like really upset. Like I was like
Mm.
heartbroken. I really liked this girl, and then I just was like, fuck this. Like fuck all my friends. Like I'm not
Mm.
talking to anybody. I'm just gonna work, and that's all I did. I literally would
Nice.
stream 12
Nice.
hours a day, and
Mm.
that was it. All I do. Go to school, stream, and then that was it.
Do you think so? Because this is something that I saw Arab talk about recently. Do you think that like dating at the level that you want to be at, and that's like the grind that you want to be on, do you think that dating is even a viable option? Or would you just rather not date and like stay on your grind?
So it's kind of funny. I'm gonna mention all my friends, because I'm telling them they're gonna watch this, and all my friends always are like, dude, we are so excited to see who you're gonna end up like dating. Like we're like so
Mm.
excited. We're so interested in like how this person's gonna be. And I always tell them, I'm like, dude, when the right person comes around, like I'll
Mm.
pull the trigger, but
Mm.
it's until that person comes around.
Mm.
Like
You're not gonna
that
go
person
fishing.
needs to be. No, yeah, and I'm not gonna go out of my way for anybody either. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait, and then until I seriously like somebody who has like the same aspirations and goals as me,
Mm.
that's when I'll pull the trigger. But other than that, no way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
with how busy I am, I need somebody who's like really independent and
Mm.
somebody who's not, relying on me 24/7 to do everything.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. I
And I mean,
just
I
thought
think
that.
that's, I think that's a lot of people who are like
Mhm.
high level workers who like to work. Like I enjoy doing this shit. Like this is fun.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you said okay, so Minecraft, and then what led you into Fort?
Yeah, so I always played Fort. Like we played, Xbox, and then I,
Yeah.
finally upgraded to this like shitty laptop, and I played keyboard mouse, and I had to like learn it because I was awful. And that's like just kept me in Fort. But I always loved the game. Like I always
Mm.
loved Fortnite. Like it was a fun game to play for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like fuck it. Like let's boot up the game and play. Like, it's always been fun for me. And that's just kind of how I got into it.
Mm.
Oh, nice. So Yeah, you go.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like were you competing in Fort, or were you just kind of like,
No, so I would compete. Like I could play. Like I'd
mm,
play, but I wasn't good. Like
mm,
I played World Cup, but I wasn't good.
yeah,
And I watched World Cup. Like me and my buddy Weston were sitting in my basement watching World Cup,
yeah,
and we were like, "Holy shit, Booga just won!" And it from like then to now, it was like, "Holy shit, Booga just won!" To now, it's like, "Holy shit, Booga follows me on Twitter." Holy shit, I had a
yeah, yeah,
conversation with him at LAN, and it's
right,
like it's. I was like, dude, 2 years ago, if you'd have told me that, I'd have been like, "No fucking way."
yeah,
And
right,
now it's like,
right,
oh, like
yeah.
I'm good friends with a lot of these guys.
So,
Yeah.
because I remember you saying something along the lines of like you were kind of like your stream was like not necessarily dwindling, but you're just kind of like, oh, like if I want to make something out of this, like career wise, I'm gonna have to do something else. And you kind of looked
Yeah,
to manage, and you were looking to manage people, and like that was how the whole thing with Peter started.
yeah. So I've always been a huge fan of business. I think business is like amazing. Like I love it. I love doing it. And I think one of the things for me was, and I've always been really entrepreneurial. Like trying to make money in any way
Mm,
possible.
mm,
And one of the things for me was trying to pivot away from me. I went on spring break with my friends my senior year and got to live. Like I was like, it was the
mm,
first time I seriously got to go out and like have fun and be like, damn, I missed out all this time because I sat in my basement and streamed every single day. And
mm.
so I was like, how can I counter this? What if I manage everybody else so everyone else had to sit inside and I can go out and do stuff and still, do stuff while I'm traveling?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was just at a music festival yesterday and I worked right before the festival.
Mm,
But like I was able to do both.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
if you
Right.
stream, you can't really do that.
yeah.
Ugh.
So how exactly? Because you kind of told me the story of how you found Peter through that. Like so the idea spawned, and you were kind of like, how did you? So I guess one, I kind of want to ask you, how do you scout talent, like you specifically, and then like how did that come to Peter, and then how did you and Peter end up actually starting to work together?
So how I scout talent is at first I was just picking whatever I could get because I needed the
Mm,
experience. Like
mm,
I was grabbing whoever was interested. I shot like probably 100 DMs, and there
mm.
was like the most drone shit ever. Like I was saying some drone shit, like acting like I knew what I was doing. I had no clue what the fuck I was doing.
Sure.
Um, and it didn't work out. Like it seriously didn't. Like I
Mm.
picked up like four small creators. Origin, like Origin, I think
Yeah.
was one of them.
Yeah.
At one point, and then there's a couple other people too, because it was like all from like the OA community, and I obviously knew of Peter,
Mm.
and he had 2,000 followers at the time, and I'm like, Peter would be a great pickup. Like he's 13, I'm 18 at the time. I'm like, I can help this kid out. Like I know a little bit more than he does. He
Yeah.
doesn't have
Right.
social presence at all. He streams on Twitch, and he had like probably I think 3K on Twitch or something like that.
Mm.
And I was like, I probably could help him. And so I hit him
Yeah.
up and I'm like, yo, like, can I manage you? And he goes, fuck no. And I was like,
In true Peter
oh,
fashion.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I was like, oh, sick, whatever. And then he'd come through my stream because I was still streaming at the time. I was trying to do both. And he'd come through my stream and token me. And dude, he robbed like 140 off me one night. And then the next night it was like
Jeez.
120. Then the next night it was like 100. And I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm like, this is fucked.
I need my
And so
money
I,
back. No,
Yeah, yeah. So I joined their Discord. And I was botcore at the time. It was like Peter's like small friend group, like 5-6 people. It was like Mikey Bright, 32 Wanted, Pal, Peter, and like Senq's at the time, I think it was. And then I joined, and we actually ended up getting along like really well, and we became friends. And then I got kicked out of the Cord, and then Mikey was like, "Hey, Peter's about to sign to an organization. Will you please read his contract?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I'll give it a look." And he's like, "All right, he's gonna send it to you." And so he sent me it, and it was the flu contract that he never signed, and they were like taking a crazy amount of his earnings or some shit. It was like 40%. I'd have to
Damn.
pull it up.
Damn.
And
It was
he didn't
this
end
was
up
like
signing it.
this was like the phase era, or like post phase era, where phase was did the
Yeah.
Tfue contract
Well,
and all of that.
it was normal. It was normal
Yeah.
at the time to take earnings, like before it, but
Well, because
for not what he was getting paid.
yeah,
Like,
well, and
yeah.
and it goes back to, and we've talked about this a lot over last weekend at Dallas or like whatever, but like orgs don't know how to make money. And like that was like one of the desperation attempts. I think it was just like this predatory contract like standard of like, yeah, we're just like, you can be on the org and we'll maybe help you a little bit with your socials, but like we're just gonna be siphoning money off of you and trying to get big off of your name. Like, yeah.
And only the kid was 13 at the time, and
Yeah.
like he had no clue what he was doing. And love Pete to death because we still joke about it to this day about it. And I'm like Pete, if I would never would read that you were signing that contract. And it was like saying it was like I think it was like a continuous 3 months, and then it continues for an extra like 3 months. So we thought it was like a 3 month deal, but I'm like, dude, it's a 6 month deal. It just says 3 months, like, and then it
Mm.
continues like automatically for another 3.
Mhm.
And so it was just like for him, I just told him like, dude, it's not worth it. He didn't end up signing it, and then the next week he made like 19K or some shit,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then that's like what actually kickstarted his career. It was
Right.
like
Yeah.
solo FNCS.
I mean, shit.
Yeah.
That kid blew up really quick as well. That kid,
Yeah.
Wild shit, yeah.
he played with Peterbot.
Well, I mean, he-
sorry, he played with Bucky and Macwood at some point, and then that helped us a lot as well. And that was when
Yeah.
comp was that was season 7 or 8, chapter 2, something like that, something around
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah. Well, what really helped him, and still has helped him to this day, like from his story. I also gonna talk about his scout talent too. One thing about Peter is he's entertaining. Like that's
Mhm.
one thing I've always seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
He
Yeah.
would shit talk me like no other. He'd be like, "Fuck you, you old man! Like I'm fucking robbing you and shit."
I'm
He'd just
never
start
playing
saying
him.
that to
Happen
me.
I-
every day.
I've vowed to never play him, even if I get the
Dude.
opportunity, because I know that he'll destroy me, and like both in game and then verbally. I won't be able to
Dude,
handle it.
He
I would
still
take that
shit talks me.
opportunity. I would still take that opportunity. That's just
Like
content.
it's fun because like I'm really competitive, so I'll be like, no, fuck you, like, and I'd kill him and I'd dance on him, and my chat would go fucking ballistic.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I'd just be sitting there and shit talking him.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so he could shit talk. So I was like, all right, bet, like I kind of like that, I like the
Mm.
energy. It's
Yeah.
it's unique, and so
Yeah.
we started working together, but he like didn't really trust me at all, obviously, because it's like I
Mm.
just met this kid. We
Right.
became good friends, and then we worked together, and then I clicked create in his YouTube. And then that's like, sort of what happened. We uploaded a video, and
Mm.
it was like a learning process. Like I did, test things out and see if it worked.
Mm.
And if
Right.
it didn't work, then I move on. But also kind of comes down to connections. Is like all my clients now are all from Peter.
Mm.
But I also told Peter, I said I'll never get a client bigger than you. Like I'll never pick up somebody who's like a bigger name than you are.
Mm.
But that's only me being fair to him because he put me on all the other guys.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well,
kind of unusual.
are you saying that because you actually think you won't get someone bigger, or you're not gonna attempt to get someone bigger?
No, I'm saying that because it's like mutual respect for him. Be like, hey, thanks for helping me out, but you're always my number one priority.
Mm.
Okay.
And I'll keep it that way because I've been with him for so long. Like at least it's been like 3 years now, I think, and almost 4. No, 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was something like that. 3 years or I don't know.
That 3 makes
Um,
sense. 3 makes sense because
Yeah,
then if it
it'd be like
was
3.
yeah,
It'd be
that makes about
2020. Yeah,
sense.
it was
Mhm.
like right at the end of COVID. So yeah, and I always told him, I'm like, dude, like you're my number one priority. Like I think you have the most potential, and that's just like how it's been. And it's not fair to some of my other clients. Like it definitely is not fair. But they know going into it, it's like, yeah, like he's your number one priority. Like
Mm.
they can tell.
That's established. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like it's the most established thing. But that's just because I want him to succeed, and with his situation, I just want what's best for him. And like
Mm.
they said, and that's the long run. Like I've had a vision for him, and it's just a matter of executing it.
I mean, that kind of digs deep into the question of like the importance of like one question we had for you was like the importance of finding connections in the scene and like what it is for you, because like you said, Peter was kind of like the gateway or like the gateway to all the clients that you work with currently now, because especially that they're in the same friend group and whatnot, like Kwanti and them. What would you say like the importance of finding connections in the scene, whether that's in management or whether that's friends or whatever it is, playing games with other people?
But it's the most important thing you can do. It's not
Yeah.
about what you know; it's about who you know. Because, for example, like I just explained to you guys, like my jet ski is broken outside. I had my buddy come over who's like really hands-on, good at building shit, and he came over and like fixed it up and brought his dad over, fixed it up, and I was just like, yo, thank you for doing that. You're welcome to take it out whenever. Like, that's something for me that like I definitely value. But it's not about just having connections. Like it's about doing something nice for somebody and not expecting something in return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like that's really like what drives like for Peter, like I don't charge Peter a dime, but I don't expect anything in return from him.
Right.
Mm.
But obviously,
yeah.
yeah,
ahead,
keep going.
No, I was just gonna add on to what you were saying, so continue.
Yeah, but like I said, he's provided me a ton of opportunity to make a lot of money.
Right.
Like for example, this entire trip was just paid for. Like I didn't pay a dime out of my own pocket for this entire trip to Dallas. So
Mm.
that's one thing that's like a huge opportunity for me. And it's like, yeah, I'm not actually like making money off him, but it's like we're helping each other. Because
Yeah.
now I'm able to go and record with him and do stuff with him that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Well, and that's I think you touched on an important thing, because I kind of I think I'm gonna start branding this motto a lot more heavily and seriously, but like content with character and like just like doing everything that you have like as a good person. Like I don't really give a fuck if you're like the biggest streamer in the world, if you're just an asshole to everyone you meet and like you're a douchebag all the time. Like for me, it's about character first and then success and business and all of that second. So like, I mean, it's like you said, like just do nice things for people with no expectation of anything in return. I mean, it will get you places, but that's not why you do it. Like the motivation for it can't be that, at least for me. And maybe that's the pastor in me coming out, but it's like, I don't know. That's where I get to at the end of the day. It's like, I see too many people where everything has an ulterior motive, or they only reach out to people because they want something from them, think they can use them for something, you know, their connection to like a stepping stone on a ladder or whatnot. And it's like, there's a way to do that while also, you know, being genuine friends with that person or having a relationship with them or benefiting them. I mean, I believe that's one of the most important things of business is every interaction should be mutually beneficial. Like I shouldn't be having something with you where I'm basically siphoning, you know, everything off of you and I'm not giving anything in return. And I think we've talked about this a little bit before on the podcast with org contracts specifically, where it's like people aren't doing anything for their org or the org isn't doing anything for them. And it's like, both of them are trying to use each other, and it's like, no, like we can all benefit from this. Like if you benefit the org's brand, then it benefits you, or you know, if you build, you know, your players brand or reputation or whatever, then that benefits you as well. Like it's supposed to be that like I've always believed in putting in as much effort into quality content or whatever you're doing for an org as you are your own personal stuff, if you're in that kind of relationship, because you need to both develop each other. And
I mean, we were just talking about that right before the podcast, the whole elite video. Like that was the most production that could have been done. Like I watched that. It was really good production, all that stuff. Of course, maybe it won't do the numbers that you wanted to do for that justice, because it's just like, it's just the game. It's just how algorithm works and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate sometimes, but the production itself and how much work was put into it clearly shows that you guys care. Clearly shows that the org itself cares, even if it means...
And like for you, it's like if that video does well, that's more exposure for Peter. It's more exposure for his org, and a lot of your other clients are on the org as well. Like it's just it benefits everyone, because that goes back to everyone benefits from the building of brand, the building of, you know, camaraderie. Even like I think another thing in org is like org culture is just like, I think there's a line, like obviously like you shouldn't be so tight where it's like you wouldn't make business decisions, but it's like there definitely should be some like bonding there. Like people that are org mates definitely need to like feel more like a family at times in a business. There's like a time and place for both.
I think Elite and Dignitas are really good examples of that.
Yeah. And I think I mean, and obviously Pipeline, not to be extremely biased, but I think Pipeline's getting there. We're building that very quickly, and I think we're taking notes from other bigger orgs like Elite and Dignitas and all of that. Elite especially, I mean, just watching the chemistry that those guys had in that video, like they're all just buds, and you can tell, and like it was just really enjoyable.
It's
you can
natural
feel the vibe.
And it's unforced. It's natural and unforced content, which most of the content before, and there still is content that is very forced. And that's like what I'm trying to tap into, is like the natural, unforced content. Like it should be your true self and not you know, just like a shitty video. But yeah, like the video didn't do well, but in Fortnite terms, like 10K on an org's video, I don't care. Anybody says like that's not that bad.
No,
a day.
No, well, on an org video, that's the most important thing. It's not like on one of their individual channels. It's on an org like video. Like the only like type of content that really like even gets close to that number is like those super weird like setup like whatevers where they just put like $1 million setups, you know, and it's like just a setup tour, and like even that, it's like that's not really about any of the people individually. It's about their setup, and like it's fine to do that as content. I'm just saying like those are the only types of things that usually get that kind of traction in the Fortnite scene. So
I think some of the best things that orgs are doing, especially Dignitas, which I've seen recently, is how Aussie will do like a recap of the month on like the best things that have happened for the org and like the players themselves. He'll do his little recap like he does with his own story times on his channel, and then he'll just do that, and it gets traction. Like it does good numbers. It gets traction. I mean, speaking about Elite, because they've been in the scene for so long in Fort, and they've had their ups, had their downs, and they're clearly up right now. What do you specifically like about an org like Elite? Like like you said, like it's very oh, what the heck? It was Elite is an org where they, like everybody in that content, like especially the video recently, it was very like, it wasn't forced content. That was one thing. It wasn't forced. Like everybody looks chill with each other. Everybody looks like they enjoy each other's company, and it was fun to record a video like that. With a lot of other orgs, it's forced or like they're told to be friends so they don't cause this type of drama. It doesn't break
It's
up
so
recordings and
bad.
stuff like that.
Other
Right.
org videos are like it's like palpable. Like
It's
you can
so
feel
you can
feel
tell
when
as
they don't want
well.
to be there and they're
Yeah.
not enjoying themselves and like they're like, oh, this is just for my contract. Like
So
it's so
would
bland.
you? So what are like certain things you like about Elite that, and maybe in comparison to other orgs that they don't do, or like even in general?
Yeah, so with Elite, my relationship with them is I think it's been like a year now, maybe a little bit more. I hit up them, I hit them up and I was just like, hey, your content isn't very good. And I like kept it a
Mm.
buck with them. And then I joined Elite, then left after 6 months and focused on my own management stuff. And then Aaron hit me up and was like, hey, like can you come back? Like, we would love your input on, how we can better this org. And I always obviously, I'm biased, but I was saying, you need to get Peter, you need to get Peter. His numbers are good, take a look. And this is like goes into the scouting question as well.
Yep.
Like you can't sign somebody if they've already peaked because then you're just not gonna reap any benefits that they've had.
Mm.
And you have to be able to like I said, it's just like stocks. So you wouldn't buy a stock out at its peak. You'd buy a stock, when it's worth absolutely nothing, or you
Right.
invest in a company when it's worth absolutely nothing.
Mm.
So, and you kind of build it. So that's sort of like one of the things that I've been looking at, and I'm just like, all right, well, Kwanti, for example, he's benefiting a lot from playing with Peter. Like he has numbers because he plays with Peter, but Peter got numbers because he played with Macwood and because he played with Bucky and because he played with P God. And P
Right.
God, like all P God's fans love him. They still love him
Oh
to this
yeah.
day, and they're
Yeah.
like diehard supporters of him. And so one of the things we were saying was, Peter is somebody who has a really strong fan base, and if we're able to use his fan base to, and catapult him, because he hasn't been signed for like 2 years, it would catapult Elite, and then they'd actually reap the benefits that would be necessary.
Mm.
So that's sort of something that I looked at when I was mentioning him. But even like where Kwanti makes Peter feel comfortable in those recordings. Like if you put Peter in there with like somebody he's probably not friends with, he's not going to be that outgoing kid. He's going to be like a little bit more uncomfortable. But when Kwanti's there, it's like, oh, my friends are here. Like I can be myself,
Right.
and it opens that up. But that's why Kwanti is so valuable, and that's why he does a really good job of that just in general. So hopefully that sort of answered your question.
Yeah, it did.
No,
it did,
yeah.
really. I mean, like you were saying, like, okay, so with Elite and stuff, like, or profitability, whatever it is, we've seen recently, like, Elite is one of the orgs where I respect them so much because even though the ups and downs they've been through over the last few years, they've stuck in the scene and they've kind of like persevered through all of that. But we've seen orgs as of recently, I mean, most notably recent TNA, other orgs like that, like BL, backing out of the scene. Like, what's kind of your stance on like the whole backing out of orgs and like for as a game kind of not supporting?
We didn't really
orgs?
touch on the TNA thing in the Dallas episode.
Did they
even
split?
though it was,
Did they split before Dallas? Was
yeah,
it before
they
Dallas?
they
It
announced
was. It
that
was
the
right-
day before
the day before
DreamHack.
Dallas. Yeah.
And
So
I no go
I was just say my opinion on orgs backing out. I think that orgs are just not putting the right resource or doing the right. They're not doing the right things to make money. Like that's plain and simple.
Yeah.
They just aren't doing the right things to make money. Like there are ways to make money because I've made quite a pretty penny doing what I'm doing, and I'm not doing anything so surreal. Like everybody could do my job. You just have to learn and be able to adapt. And so one of the things that I would say is like I could care less about my personal brand. I could care less, what people think about me. Like if you think I'm an asshole, cool. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But in an org standpoint, you have to have the community behind you. Like you have to. And the moment that you do like one thing wrong, like for example, the Miro and Day thing with TNA the first time, like that really screwed them up. Like that, like the entire community was against them. And look at like TNG. Like even like TNG when they were around with with Peter and everybody, and then he like owed Kirsch or like I think it was like $500,000 or something like that. Like that just screws up your org. Where Elite's never had an issue like that, and Elite has always been very respectful of all of their players.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I think making money, it's possible to make money. It really is. I just think that no one's done it the correct way, and when someone does do it the right way, they're gonna reap literally all the benefits from it because everyone's gonna copy it and try other things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
that's just my quick opinion on it.
Yeah, whoever paves that road for sure, whoever finds that method first is just gonna make a fucking boatload of money. I mean, it like and just like solidify themselves for years to come. I mean, I think we've seen orgs that have done it in other places, not in Fort specifically. But I mean, you take the ones that are still around today, Energy or Dignitas or any of them, like they or like Cloud9. Like I worked for Cloud9 for a summer, and like the sense of like all of the coaches that were brought on for this summer camp that I was hired for, it was like probably 20 or 30 of us, dude. Every single one of them was like, yo, like, you know, do we get jerseys? Do we get whatever? Do we get to meet like X people on these rosters? Like they've been fans of Cloud9 for decades. Like they love it so much, and there's so many people that are such deep fans of it. Like it's like people's passion for their NFL team or their basketball team or their hockey team or whatever. Like, and I think in Fortnite, I think part of it is because it's not teams competing, it's individuals. It's harder to create that same sense for the org, because it usually just gets like plastered onto the individual. You know, it's like it's not elite, it's Peterbot, or it's like, you know, that's something that like I think orgs have done a better job. I think Dignitas is doing a good job with that right now. I mean, people are big fans of Dignitas now. You see Dig in all the Fortnite names and whatever, because they've corralled all of these top names from different niches and different fan bases like into one roster. So, you know, you have like the Acorn fans, the Booga fans, the Aussie fans. Like you cover basically all of the content scene right there, where it's like, oh, wow. Like, you know, you've done a really good job of making a name now for Dig that hopefully can last in the scene regardless of who your roster is. I think that's one of the first steps for monetizing an org is it has to be you and your branding as an org, and it can't just be tied to your one player, your one signee, whatever, where it's like the second they leave, all of that magic is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another thing is a lot of the Fortnite pros do not care to make content. Like that is the number one thing. Like, if you're not gonna make content, you're not gonna have those super fans. You're not gonna have the people that love. Like, I don't like saying fans. Like, I'd rather say community, because like that's literally what it is. Like, it's a community of people who like really support you. Like, I was walking through the land center, and it was at DreamHack Dallas, and I literally am walking in, and we get up the escalator. I go, yo, Pete, throw on your jersey. He's like, nah, like not right now. I'm like, dude, just throw it on. He throws it on. Not under 5 seconds, there was probably a 55-year-old security guard walks over and goes, yo, Peter, can I get a photo with you? A
That's
security guard there, and I was sitting there. I was looking at it. I'm like, dude, that's fucking sick. Like, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Like, that I was sitting there and I was like, dude, I wish I had people come up to me like that. Like, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
But, that's definitely something.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a big thing, and honestly, like we talked about this when we talked about like if you were running an org, how would you do it? And like me personally, I think that is one of the biggest things is like, if you're not going to be a part of content, if you're not entertaining, like I don't see a reasoning having
I don't have
I
don't have a means to give you a contract. Like,
because all you are is taking my money, right? I'm paying for your expenses. I'm taking like whatever. And like, it's not that I don't love, like I love a lot of pro players that I've met, and like they're really cool people, but it's like to be an asset, a profitable asset in this industry, you need to be contributing to content in some way, shape, or form. So if that's not being an on-camera personality, that's editing, that's like, it's whatever that you're doing behind the scenes, but you have to be contributing to content somehow, because that's where all the money is. And like that's what you need to be doing. And orgs, and that's where, you know, like I think we're seeing a shift in this now, especially in the Fortnite scene, where people are getting less lazy because they're beginning to see that, like getting to see, oh yeah, we need to make monetizable content that people actually watch. Like, orgs were just kind of putting it out, and like it was like a formality. It was like a to-do list or a chore list for them. It's like, yeah, we can feel that, and we're not gonna, like, nobody enjoys that. So like doing
no consumer will ever purchase a product either with doing that. Like you're saying, like those product, like if Elite came out with a pair of shoes, nobody would buy it unless Peter wore the shoes, Peter promoted the shoes, and Peter did everything for it. Or if NPen did it, because NPen's been on the team for so long, he's developed those super fans around Elite who love Elite. And that's kind of like the niche you need to hit. And one of the things that I talk about is even doing like maps, for example. Like if you did because like that's another revenue source that no org has ever tapped into. And trust me, I've mentioned it multiple times to multiple people. I'm like, you got to make a map. Like, especially now with 40%, like there are ways to make money, but everyone's too lazy to do the damn work. And that's plain and simple of how it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you imagine, like, especially right now, the momentum that like an Elite Zone Wars would get just because of like Peter, like, and then if it's an actual good map and a good product, then that has mainstay after Peter leaves or retires or whatever. Like, if you make a good product, I mean, I touched on this again. Epic Whale, I think, is one of the best examples of this. Made a good product based off of his temporary momentum in the Fortnite scene and made it like he's made a long stay company. Now he could run the company and that could be his entire life. He's set. Like, they're good products. I have 2 mousepad company mousepads. I will never use another company. Like, I love them so much. They're so reliable. Like, hashtag ad, I guess, but like, not really. But no, like I actually like love the product now. But obviously, like the way that I heard about it and the marketing was all Epic Whale's name, and like that's what people need to be doing, is capitalizing on your brand popularity, because that will swing. That will have ups and downs. It's like you need to make something that creates some stability in an industry that is notoriously unstable.
Yeah, 100%. One of my goals, like for at least all my players, is by the time, for Peter, like he said, he's 15, about to turn 16, he's young. By the time he's like 18, 19, I want to have like a business developed around him that is monetizable for his brand. Whether that's his own mouse, a keyboard, whatever it is, like whatever he wants to do. Even if it's just I wouldn't do just merchandise, because I feel like that's just too cliche. I want something that's like unique to him.
Sure.
And that's definitely something I'm gonna build.
Well, the thing with like even merch is like it often is the same issue where it's like it's really bad quality, or it's like it's kind of like half-assed, where it's like it's only good or relevant as long as like that person is, it's like if you make something that like, and I think orgs have tried to take this direction and to varying success. I think FaZe has done a decent job with it, where like they make a brand and it's like it's a clothing line or a clothing brand. It's not merch. It doesn't feel like merch in the same sense. Like obviously you're repping something that represents something, but it's like it's more of a this is like it's more like it's more akin to a designer logo than it is like merch of like, this is my YouTuber that I watch. Like, and I think that's where like FaZe
100 Thieves strikes that.
Yeah, 100 Thieves has done that really well. And
really
I think
good. Well, my favorite drop from them is the golf club one. I mean, they had products that you would use at any regular golf club, and they had like their t-shirts were sweet, like they were modern.
Yeah,
they were you could wear them out. Like this is like the same thing. Like went to music festivals weekend, Heatwave. This t-shirt or this like hoodie is like you can wear this out. It's not something like you can't wear out.
Right.
And that's just like the style of clothing that you have to do now. Like you have to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you're right. 100 Thieves is like an even better example. I think they've gotten darn near close to perfecting it, because then it's like it's a twofold thing, because one, it can bring new people in to look at your gaming organization and whatever. Because if you actually make like a lifestyle brand that transcends like people aren't just buying it because they're fans of the org already, and it's like they become fans of like the actual clothing, and then you draw them in. That's like you're bridging gaps between different industries, and that is money. That's longevity. That's like because I think 100 Thieves, like I absolutely could see 100 Thieves like having like their clothes in like a store in LA and people just wearing it around, having never heard of like the gaming organization, because they've made really good products that fit like the aesthetic that they're going for and the vibe really, really well. They've done a really good job with that and expanding it and whatnot.
I mean, okay, continuing on about orgs, bro, because it's so this I think this was announced today. It was either today or yesterday. But,
the Gamers 8 thing?
Yeah, so the Gamers 8 thing. So what is our opinion on that? Because the Gamers 8 thing, so if, for anybody that hasn't seen the tweet, pretty much Gamers 8 is doing like, I guess you could say it's like an organization competitive prize pool where the org with the highest placing player or whatever it is, duo, whatever it is,
it's like it's your top player in each of the or team in each of the games that they're offering
will win a certain amount of money, which I think is really smart, because it brings in org competitiveness and it brings in more traction for like org channels, because they're all going to be so hyped about it. And I think Gamers 8 is trying to show Epic what they need to do. I think they're trying to show Epic,
and it's going to bring, I mean, like first place is 1.5 million for whatever org gets that highest average placement across the board. I mean, or that kind of money, what you can do with that, because a lot of times there are things where you have a great idea, but you just can't execute it because you don't have the capital for it. And like that would open up unlimited possibilities for every org in the scene.
Holy shit.
I mean, because
oil money
that's
is so easy.
Well, you can, and that's reinvestable. Like you can, it's not just we're because people think too small with money. I think this is a big problem, especially I think what you see this in the immaturity in the Fort scene. Like people are like, oh, this will last me X amount of years. I'm like, yeah, if you don't have anything that has a return on investment, like if you don't invest it in anything, but if you invest in something, like 1.5 million can already last a lifetime for a lot of people. But if you invest that money and make it turn into more money, like that, you're set for life. And like an org would be the same way. Like if you have things that you can be investing into with that money, then you can have some like longevity and some mainstay that goes way beyond. So that kind of capital would revolutionize any scene that money goes to in any org, and it may even begin the revitalization of the industry, because we're like, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. We're like in the lowest of the low with esports right now. Like this is probably one of the lowest points it's going to be at, just because all of the angel investor money is gone, and we're just kind of like all left here with passion and no money, going, shit, how do we make money? And we were kind of riding the coattails of all of the other industries' money. Dignitas is owned by the 76ers owner. Like it was a lot of money from other industries. So it's like, oh, there actually wasn't a lot of money being generated in this industry. It was just being poured into this industry. So now it's like we have a responsibility to, if we want to keep our jobs and keep this industry alive, like making money inside of it. And that's, I think, something like this where, people like international countries or Saudi or the lands or whatever are like, hey, here's some capital. Then people can get creative with money-making methods that are going to become what orgs do. Like you were saying earlier, like whoever comes up with that first like thing that like makes an org actually profitable month to month,
dude. It's gonna bang.
Is going to be the new standard of the industry. Like it's going to have to be, because everyone's going to go, oh shit, that's how you make money. We got it. Like and that's how every industry starts. I mean, you talk about like Microsoft, you talk about all of those, the biggest companies that have ever existed, Amazon, Microsoft, whatever. It was some guy who was like, man, nobody's done this yet. Nobody's made money this way yet. And then they build it themselves, and they
do it correctly. They don't fuck it up. They do it correctly.
And they
actually put
and they
time
scrap for that shit. I mean, they're doing this shit out of their garage with no, like, I mean, they scrap for investors, like all of this stuff. And then they build something and they believe in it, through all of the poverty and the heartache and the whatever, to the point where it actually starts turning over. And then it's like, oh, then it's like, then you've hit gold. It's like,
I swear Epic Games and Twitch are run by rats, dude. Their brains are they're not developed, dude.
I don't know. But like, I mean, it's going to be, whenever that first thing hits, and whoever comes up with that idea is going to be a name that will be remembered in the industry forever, because it just, it will change.
Like Saudi's thing is what they're doing with this org thing is trying to send a message to Epic as well. Like they're trying to see like org compatibility with esports, specifically Fortnite, is like a lot of people know Gamers 8 specifically. A lot of people for the Fortnite stuff that's happening, because it was announced like earlier in the year, and it blew up like because it's such a big land. It's in Saudi Arabia in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, right at the decline of Fortnite comp too.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a really low point.
Last time it happened, we saw like Epic Whale and Malibuca. We saw people that we didn't even think were going to do win tournaments and stuff like that. All that stuff, and it was huge. But I also think it's because the thing with Epic is that, they're making these mistakes, but also one of their biggest mistakes, and it's been like this for years, is their org compatibility. They've just never given the opportunity to teams, orgs, whatever it is, to just put it out there that they're here to help out Epic, not only help their own brand, but also help keep Fortnite competitive alive.
Yeah.
A lot of people start teams because they want to grow their brand, but
and that's why a lot of
exactly.
That's why a lot of orgs backed out. I mean, it's because
do you think, and this is just a question that's something to like think about critically, especially for the viewer. Do you guys think that everyone has done enough in the scene to where like orgs, it's not Epic's fault, it's our fault for not being able to innovate and figure it out? Because that is a serious question, because like I've asked myself that, and I asked like, what's the best thing I can do to help Elite provide for Peter? What's the best way that I can provide for Elite? Like what skills do I have or that I can learn that could benefit an organization?
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Everybody does the same shit. Like there's nobody doing something unique.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's twofold, because I think there's absolutely a sense of complacency. There's absolutely a sense of like people just want to go in, do what works, hope they like make their money, and then get out, and not change or help or grow the industry. And I think that is like, I think that comes from a place of like, I don't think they're doing it for the right reasons. I just think at the base, like I think there are two types of people in this industry: the people who are selfish and are in it for only themselves and the money, and greedy and selfish gain,
Couldn't
and then the
we-
people who are in it
could-
for
Couldn't we say
like.
the same thing about Epic though itself? Has Epic given us opportunities or orgs
Well,
opportunities?
that's what I'm saying. It's twofold. Is I think as much as it's our responsibility, Epic should realize what they have in front of them, the opportunity that Fort could be for the world's best esport, bar none. I mean, it just wouldn't even be close, dude. If it had the support that like a CS:GO still does, or basically any other major esport. I mean, we during Dallas there was that it was the female circuit of CS:GO, the finals that was going on, and it was like attached to the venue. It was basically like it was packed full, and it was awesome. It was a crazy event. A Fortnite event like that, if Fortnite had that kind of support, would fill out like NFL stadiums. I have no doubt. Like, but it is. So I think it's twofold. I think it's, yeah, we need to innovate, but I think Epic is missing a massive opportunity. So it's like, but you can't rely on that either. I think that's where a lot of people is like, people are just waiting for Epic to try and do something. Oh, well, maybe they'll start. It's like, no, if you want to be in this industry, if you have a passion for it, if you want to build something, you only have control over what you have control over, which is you. So get on your shit, do something new. And like that.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's like nobody cares to do anything new. Like you have Cease, for example, who did Cease's thesis, which is like him VOD reviewing games, which is like, yeah, it's new, but it's just inside the mind revamped. Like it's not actually new. It's just reused content. So when I'm looking at like different ways for people to make money and you know different ways to grow, I'm trying to find unique ways to make content. Because like you don't ever see, like, for example, on Peter's channel, one of them's like the settings they got me cheating allegations. Like you don't see a video like that often. Like that's an actual content video, even though it's just a Fortnite montage. And it shows the settings at the end, but it's a content video because that's what it is. It's literally showing the settings, but it's also showing all of his best clips of all time.
Well, and that's basic. I feel like that's the first step of content strategy is like you go, what is my niche? What makes me unique from other people that's going to make them watch me over other people? Because the thing with like getting into content, especially now in the industry, if you try all of the basic shit, there's someone out there doing it better, bigger, more money, more followers. They're already established. You'll never top those people. You know, like people are like, and I like, it's funny that you bring up montages. Like I had just a couple of people the other day. They're like, hey, will you watch my montage? And I'm like, sure, but I'm really critical, you know, and they're like, yeah, great. So I watched it and I'm like, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen the same clips by 57,000 other kids. Like there's nothing unique about this. If you're going to be doing a montage, and I gave him this whole lecture, if you're going to be doing a montage, you need to be doing shit that nobody's ever seen. Like you either need to be one of the best players in the world, or you need to have really, really unique playstyle or mechanics. And the same goes for like broader content strategy. You can't be doing the same videos that other people are doing because someone will be doing it bigger and better than you. You need to be doing something on your own. You need to be finding your own niche. You need to be doing something that people go, that's this person. They need to associate your name with that. You know, it's like with montages, especially, like I think of like a Raider 464. Is he the best player in the world? No, but he has such unique mechanics. Like people will still watch him because it's just so like mesmerizing. He's created a niche for himself.
Montages is so much more than just the clips itself. Like if you're talking about uniqueness and all that stuff, like a lot of these kids get montages up. Exactly. You know who's the perfect example? And this is, I'm very positive this was the person that innovated it, is when Click started doing his stream clips at the beginning of the montage. If you remember his superhero montage, this is one that comes to mind very vividly. The beginning of Superhero, when that song dropped, it was massive because it was the Metro Booming album. But other than that, to make it even better, his intro to the thing was literally him just simping over Somerset for 30 seconds, and they just played the background music.
Well, and
that was the most unique. Those are unique things you can do.
Yeah,
So
we've always
easy.
praised Clicks
His
for
personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Shows off
That's
his personality, and that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
And that's good that Apazzo was able to recognize that and then be able to innovate and adapt because of the creation of his content. If you see all Peter stuff, I do the same fucking thing. I always put a clip in there, or I'll put multiple in there and go that way. But one of the things like that I know just from experience is even on his channel is like it's trial and error. Like you actually have to try new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well,
like,
that
I
is
just tried to vlog.
You have
so
many opportunities for montages. You have so many opportunities.
Well, and that we talked about that too. Like I think Arab is a great opportunity here. Like he tried the IRL shit, and it took him a year until he started hitting algorithm and his videos started blowing up. And like, he's talked about like that process. He was like, yeah, everything I learned, it was trial and error. Like the first ones didn't do well, and they're very similar content. There's differences, but like it's the same gist, it's the same idea. But he's made these changes and he's adapted, and to see like, oh, now he's hitting algorithm, and now every single one of his shorts and his videos just blows. And like, but it is, I think that because we talked about complacency, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with that laziness of like, you just do the same shit over and over again, and you never adapt, and you never change, and you never grow in your craft. It's like, what do you expect? I mean, it's like, Einstein's old definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what a lot of the people in this industry just keep doing all the time. And that's where I get to, okay, well, yeah, you got to put in a little bit more elbow grease than that. I mean, people love to womp on this industry and be like, oh, well, it's so easy. You get to sit in there and play video games all day. And I'm like, dude, all the people I know that are making a full-time living out of this or trying to work way harder than a 9 to 5. They are going every single second, every single minute. They're adapting, they're shooting, they're filming, they're editing, they're going back and writing scripts. They're changing thumbnails if it didn't hit algorithm. They're watching back their videos and other people's content to make sure that like they're still doing a good job. They're learning new things. Like I know for me, even just since starting this podcast, I haven't stopped. Like if I'm not on stream or I'm not recording a video or I'm not like actively recording a podcast, I'm watching other podcasts. I'm watching other content, like learning and growing. And that's what a lot of people I just don't think are doing. And it's like, yeah, you wonder why you're stagnant in this industry. There it is.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean-
well, people also are scared of change. They're scared of,
Mhm.
Like the industry is changing, whether you like it or not. There's like a new wave of people coming. We talked about it on the other podcast. Like
Mhm.
there is a wave of people coming, and it's like, it's fucking gonna push the industry forward. Like you
Yeah,
can tell,
yeah.
you can tell by the people who are actually trying to do well and be passionate about it. But it
Mhm.
also comes down to actually having sure talent and skill. Because like
Yeah.
if you're not talented at what you do, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be talented at it. It's like the main thing. So
Yeah.
I really think like, dude, if we're talking like outside of this scene, like someone who left the scene and outside of it has just blown up, Arab did it perfectly, like you were saying, dude. He took a year and a half to figure out the IRL stuff. He realized that streaming every day or streaming everything he did IRL wasn't the wave, and he's tweeted about it so much in
Yeah.
like, the recent time.
Yeah.
But his numbers on YouTube have literally gone crazy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
averages on 100K, maybe 80 to 100K views per video now. I'm pretty sure he hit 100,000 subs in 1 month.
Yeah.
Like he's blown it open, dude. Blown
Yeah.
it open. His production is insane as well.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
he's really kicked it open.
And I think I mean, he's found something that's so unique, like way
Yeah,
beyond
exactly.
Fort. I mean, like, yeah, he was a great coach and he had really good personality and he did really well in the Fort scene because he was such a unique and entertaining person to watch. I mean, there was just no one like him. I mean, you look at all the coaches now, they all kind of seem like the same version of the same person. Like
Right.
they all kind of talk the same, think the same, whatever. And like that's not knocking on their jobs. I'm sure in their actual coaching they do something different. But like when you talk about like Arab now as a person and you see like the type of content and shit that he's doing, like it's so him to a T. I think what it is, and like, this is part of like when I talk about content strategy, it's like find your niche and then you got to create content that highlights it the best, because there's like people have their niches and they may even know what their strengths are and they're like, oh yeah, I'm really good at this is why people will watch me, and then they make content that doesn't target that at all or doesn't highlight it at all, and it's like that's where your disconnect is. You need content that's going to highlight those unique attributes that you have, those things that people want to watch the best, and that's where I think Arab has really refined into like, oh yeah,
people need to take advantage of the IRL opportunities they get, especially with lands. And like one of a really high topic that we've been talking about recently on a bunch of these podcasts is like just the comparison of lands, the hopes for lands, and like what to come. And I mean, DreamHack Dallas was definitely an eye opener for a lot of people that didn't get to go to DreamHack Atlanta and whatnot. I would just think that the IRL opportunities you get, like we've said before in the past, that you are one person online, but when you come in person, you realize that a lot of people don't actually dislike you. A lot of people are just very open with how they talk, and as much as if you just have a conversation with them for even like 15 minutes, you'll realize that someone can be 100% different from what they are online. And it's just because like the online world, a lot of toxicity just gets to people, and a lot of it just like kind of transfers kind of like in their blood, quote unquote, and it just leads back to like the same like emotions sent back against each other. Like the best way to put it is like 2v2s and wages and stuff like that. But when you talk about lands and stuff, it's like everybody's very open to talking about anything, and like you guys like hypothetically in dream parties and stuff like that. You know, but I just think like opportunities like like Invitational, DreamHack, Saudi
Lands
Arabia,
are huge, and
they
like
are
yeah,
massive.
Land,
And if you
lands
don't
are
take it
the best networking opportunities bar none. Like you
in
can
the scene,
you can network in Discord or Twitter or whatever, but you're always going to be barricaded. It's so much easier to ego somebody or like just ignore or whatever. Like online, in land, it's a completely different, and it lowers a lot of people's defenses. Like just being in a room with somebody, kind of. Because this is what I talk about a lot. Like we have a celebrity culture, and it's like we treat people differently if they have, like Clicks is about to hit 6 million followers on Twitch. But when you not just like act, but when you genuinely change your point of view to go, oh yeah, this is just a kid, this is just another human being, and we're equals, we're peers or whatever. That makes it so much easier. Like it makes everything. It opens up the door for so much.
Well, dude, like. Especially Invitational for me, that was so eye-opening because it's like I went from me managing 6 guys, I think it was at the time, or 7 guys, to like going to Invitational and being able to, meet Peter for the first time and sit there and like actually get to know him behind just calling with him. And it was so eye-opening for me. I mean, he was so funny. The first time I met him, he like went up to me, he looks down, looks up, and he goes, "Damn, you're tall." And then And then that's all he said. I was like, oh, sick. I was like, you're a lot different than I thought you're gonna be, but like, it was cool. Like he was quiet and he like did his own thing. But even at Invitational, like I took advantage of talking to every person possible and just trying to like even Cypher PK. I started picking his brain about content. I was up in the creator lounge and I sat there and just was talking to him literally for like 30 minutes. Just like him and his brother. And then even Jerry, like I sat with Jerry during the entire event and just was like, yo, like, what do you see? Like, what do I have to do moving forward and shit like that. But one of the things about Invitational, I know you wanted me to cover it on this podcast, was the thing that happened with Bylah and how, like, dude, I was under fire for like, I think the tweet got like 500 likes, dude. It was unreal. So Bylah, I'll kind of give like a little background. So Bylah didn't want to go to Invitational. He just didn't want to go. Like he qualified and he was just
I heard about that originally.
He didn't want to go. And there was like a lot of rumors flying, like Bylah doesn't want to go because he's overweight and all this shit. And it's just like, it was like stupid shit, bro. Like shit, what people were like,
as the internet does.
The internet's gonna say some bullshit. And so Bylah, I was in a call with him. It was me, him, and Jamper and Peter. And I'm like, yo, so like, are you positive you don't want to go? And he's like, yeah, like I seriously don't want to go. Like, will you tweet it out? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? I'll tweet it. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And so I break the news on Twitter, and dude, it's like first 10 minutes. What the fuck is he doing? He's throwing away life-changing money. You're the worst manager ever. Yada yada yada. They're telling me like jump off of a bridge in game, but it's not in game. Like I'm getting death threats left and right.
But it's not in game.
Well, I was thinking that I was like, is YouTube gonna like take this down or whatever? I don't know. But I was sitting there and dude, it was just nonstop. Like I've never got that many death threats in my life. And I'm sitting there like, reading through them. I'm reading my mom. My mom's just like laughing. She's like, wait, so they think you are like telling them not to go? And I clarified in the tweet. Like I literally clarified. I was like, this was his decision, not mine. Like And then someone like replied to that. Replied some shit. I think it was like Yamza or someone. And I replied like underneath it, and I was like, dude, this isn't my decision. I'm gonna be at Invitational. See you there. Like LOL. Yeah, she was crazy, bro. But I've never had anything like that. Like literally, I probably had 1,000 DMs that day.
Does Bylah regret it? Did you ever like? Does he regret not going?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't regret it. Yeah.
Okay, I respect that.
He said he's like, you know what, like, yeah, I missed out, but he's like at the same time, it's like he was on vacation at the time, anyways. Like, he was literally going on vacation, and so he's like, I was able to spend time with my family that like I probably won't get back. Cause he was 18 at the time, about to turn 19, so he's like, I'm only young once, I'd rather spend some time with my family.
At least
I mean, I respect that.
I mean, obviously all the casuals are like, you're an idiot, but like, you never know what's going on in someone's life.
And there is like, there's life beyond Fortnite. Like, obviously, like, yeah, sure, go meet that, whatever. But like, if it is like, if you have another priority and you make that decision, like, great. Like, that's your choice. It's your life. You get to do what you want with it. Like, just because somebody else, like, oh, well, I would have taken that opportunity. Well, yeah, duh. But like, you're also not in the position he is. Like, he'll have another one of those. He'll have another land. Like, Yeah,
Mm.
right,
Yeah, he
right,
also
right.
gave the opportunity to Jamper. Jamper had the opportunity to compete, and Jamper was unbelievably like he was so cool, bro. He was sitting next to Pete. Like, obviously, him and Pete were very close. Like they obviously talk here and there.
Mm.
Um, but like I talked to him, and he was so cool, bro. He was so nice to me, and he's just like, yo, like, it was really nice meeting you. And then I sent him a DM, and he's just like, yeah, like you were sick as fuck.
I
Yeah.
keep
And he's
telling
like,
people, I keep telling people, bro, Jamper leaving this comm is gonna hurt it, bro, because he was
Yeah.
genuinely a good
I
guy, and
loved
he
that
did
series. I think he was really
that
onto
boot
something
camp
with
series was
his boot
something
camp
else.
series. Yeah, I think that
I
was
really
he
really
meant well,
unique.
bro.
Yeah,
If him and Paper didn't care for comp as much as they do, which in all respect I understand why they do, because they want to do
yeah,
good. Like
yeah,
they've been tier ones for so long, and regardless of what other people say, it's just I understand like them splitting up and all this stuff, but at the same time, that boot camp series, legit, like you would see
yeah,
people be like, "Yo, when's the next episode?" Like people were on
yeah,
about
yeah,
it, waiting for
yeah,
the episodes. The
yeah.
first one did really good numbers wise, and
Well,
people were really about
it
it.
imbued their
Well, dude,
personalities so well. I mean, it
Yeah.
highlighted who they were as people, and it made it all more personal. And that's like
yeah.
any sport, any competition. If you can make somebody care about the person and not the results or whatever, that you've succeeded. I mean, it's like NFL, and they do this like in sports media all the time. All of those horror, like the sob stories and whatnot, like to try and get you connected to an individual player. It's what they're targeting. They're trying to get you emotionally attached, so then you care when they leave a team or they care when they get hurt or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I remember Jamper brought up to me. I was sitting there, he's like, "You think it would do well?" And I go, "It would do well if you continue to do it. Like the
Mm,
first episode is gonna do well, but if you do one episode and quit, there and you come back in a month and they're like, oh, episode 2, like it's not gonna do well." I said,
yeah,
if you do them in a row, you're gonna do well. And so he actually DM'd me and goes, "Yo, I'm about to post like the first boot camp. Want to watch it over and like help me out with like title and tags and stuff?" And I replied, I was like, "Yeah, I got you, bro. Like
yeah,
anytime."
yeah.
And but that's the outlet that I want for all the players in the scene to have, because it's
Mm,
unfair. Like for the time that I put into Peter, I always tell him, like, to everybody else, I'm like, yeah, it's unfair. It's unfair to all my other clients, like completely unfair. But
mm,
that's like the relationship they have. Like I'm willing to help you out in any way possible. If I can put you on, I'll put you on. If I can,
yeah,
help you, get a new guest, like that's what I'm gonna do. Like that, and
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
goal. Like my goal is to help as many people as possible,
yeah.
because that I know one day if it was me, like back and I needed help and someone could have put me on, I would have wanted that for myself.
Right,
That's like I said, it
right.
kind of goes back to my roots.
Yeah, yeah.
Treat people the way you would want to be treated,
Yeah.
So
regardless if you were in their situation or in your own situation.
So what? Okay, because I've said like I really only like I would say gotten into like the upper tier of the comm more recently, and something that I've kind of discovered and that I would say I'm pretty confident on now is that like basically everybody's public perception is damn near opposite of how they are in real life. Like all of the I mean even Peter, like obviously you have an expectation of Peter if you've only heard about him or seen him in videos and on stream and whatnot. Like he was such a chill dude. I mean, even like a little bit quiet, which people are like quiet. I'm like, yeah, like but he was just like a nice kid. Like he answered my DM, which I never thought he would. But I literally just shot him a DM like after we met at the airport, and like I was like, hey dude, like it was really nice to meet you and your dad. Like cool seeing you this weekend, whatever. And he's like, yeah, dude, like, thanks. Like, he liked the message and whatever. Like, never expected that out of him. And like, not even just like, I don't think he's a bad person, but I was just like, yeah, like, there's no reason for him to want to like respond or care about me. But like, he did.
I
And
even
like,
told him. I said it matters. I said it matters. Like those are the people you want around. And I think that's starting something he realizes is he knows like I'm not there to go make money off him. Like I'm not there to sit there and pitch pennies and take his fucking dollars. Like I'm there to actually help him out and like provide him a guide.
Right.
And provide him not like no, because his dad's really invested. I mean, you talk to him; he's invested, dude. He like loves it.
I love his dad, dude. I love that passion, man. Like he really is. He's like he wants everything to be the best in Peter's life, and I respect the fuck out of that. I mean, it's just good. It's just good parenting. Like he's dude. Like we were talking to him, and he was talking about like Peter's past teammates and his comp history, and like he knew every single teammate. He knew all the seasons. He knew where he was landing. Like he was so invested. Like he knows it. Like he feels. I think he feels like he's as much of his manager as you are, and like that's a great thing. Like he wants to like direct that and be a very active part of Peter's development, and I think that's a super cool
it's
thing
important.
to see.
It's very important because he like I feel like he wasn't there before Invitational, like, but it's just because I didn't know him. So from my perspective, it was like he wasn't even there. But now that like I've already met his dad 3 times. His dad's like, dude, whenever you're done with college, you and Peter are moving to Dallas like ASAP. I'm like, all right, bro, like I'll get on it. But
Yeah.
like we were talking, and he understands too. He's like, you actually care, and he sees
Mm.
that, and he's like,
Yeah.
you're family to us. Like you're actually
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah.
now that's my relationship with them, which is so sick. Like
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
sick.
Support
I mean,
from
dude,
support from your father is great. I mean, speaking on people that like their fathers act like their managers. I mean, there's Clix's dad, Booga's
Yeah.
dad, Peter's dad. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
other people in the scene as well that are like that.
Yeah.
Sparrow's family. Sparrow's
Mm.
family is something else when it comes to like being like what's it
Mm.
called? Being supportive, dude.
Yeah.
If you remember was it DreamHack Atlanta where they were sitting with him the whole time he was playing?
Probably.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they even had like stuff made with his branding on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Oh
that
yeah.
was
I saw his dad
that was so sick.
at Dallas. I saw his dad with the
Oh, yeah.
Sparrow t-shirt. Like you knew
So
who he
sick.
was. Like yeah.
I
No,
noticed it and I was like, that's a dream.
having
dude.
family
I
around
think
you like is a massive thing. Like it really
It
does
is,
change
yeah.
how much
So big.
you because I mean it's kind of like like you with your uncle or whatever. Like it just gives you those in those moments where you're like really in the fucking dumps. Like it just brings that like motivation out of you. It's like fuck, like it's not for me, it's for them. Like it.
Well, I also think there's a line too for family, because like my thing with Peter and his dad is like sometimes Peter doesn't want his dad around, and that's like, his dad has to be 100% okay with that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
100%.
Sure.
And his dad has to be able to like pick and choose his moments that he wants to spend with him, because
Yeah,
his dad, like let's say when he was 50th FNCS, like his dad sat down to me, and I haven't said this to anybody. He sat down to me, he's like, dude, like what happened today? And this was at Invitational too. And I sit there and I'm like, I'm gonna talk to Peter and Jipper like today, and just like see where their heads at, and just try and like motivate them to like do well.
Yeah.
Day 2 they got like 18th, which like obviously for them they think it's dog shit. I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, you went from 50th to 37th, and you had a positive day 2. I was like, dude, you had to hold your head high and just literally like live through it. But those like even he did bad there, he did bad at Dallas. I think Peter, he didn't do that bad at Dallas, but I'm just saying it like those 2 lands. But Peter sees like I'm willing to spend money. Like if I have to, go on this trip and to waste my time for him not to qualify or him not to do well, I don't care. Like I'm getting content out of it anyway, so I don't care, and it goes on his channel. But it's just like for him, he's such a good kid, and nobody sees it. Like, you think he's just a shitty kid, and then you meet him in person, he's so nice.
No, yeah, he is. I mean, it was really eye opening to like, and that sentiment carries. And I was actually leading into a question with all that. Like, would you kind of agree with that sentiment? Like, especially like the pros and like whatnot. Like the public perception is almost always opposite.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I say it depends on the person. I've met some people at LAN and they're just fucking assholes. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Like there's some people. There's some people, and those people are just like, they're not there for the right reasons, or they feel threatened, or they there's like, and you can tell. You can actually, if you sit down and talk with somebody, you can tell like how they actually feel about you, and if they're just trying to use you or whatever it is. But I just think like putting somebody in a shitty situation, like even like that, like I could care less what anybody thinks about me. Even Foxman was like, dude, that CMills guy is a prick. Like he used to think that all the time. Cause I joined Squad FNCS and I'd leave the call like 5 minutes after I joined. I joined like muted, and then I'd leave the call, and he'd be like, why the fuck like is he even joined? And I'd be sitting there, and he came up to me, he's like, dude, you're actually like a nice guy. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm not like trying to be rude and not talk to you guys in the call. It's just like I'm busy. I'm a busy dude. Like I'm doing shit, and I'm like, and you're busy too. Like when you stream, I'm like, you're doing your own thing. So, and it's like so eye opening. And one of the things like he was saying, invitational, he's like, dude, like I don't know what to do. Like I need to get back on my grind. And I told him, I'm like, dude, you just have to stream. Like literally turn it on. Like if you want to make this your job, turn it on and do it. And this is at the time he wasn't streaming. And we talked about it, and he was like, dude, I'm just at a low. And I'm like, you have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, he even said it. He said to me, when was it? I think it was at like, Mills, you've always stuck with me even like through my lowest. And I'm like, well, that's my job. My job is to do that. Is to help as many people out as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he definitely like, man, I think because we talked when we did an episode with him, and I think a lot of that sentiment was like when his back was actually against the wall, when he realized what he could be facing if he doesn't make this shit work, and like he talked about like moving to Dallas, and he was like, well, now I have to, it's make or break, like I'm gonna be out here fucking homeless unless I like start making money. And now he's killing it. I mean, he is killing it. His numbers are fantastic, and I mean he's like, his growth is amazing. But like I mean, it was. He said it was like, yeah, I had to have my back up against the wall and realize what I could be losing if I don't put my all into this. And I think a lot of that comes down to a lot of these people in this industry, especially since they're like not even out of their like high school or out of their parents' house or whatever, don't have that reality yet. Like they don't have to
100%.
face that. Like,
I mean, I'm in that right now, dude. Like,
well, and that was me for a long time. Like I've been doing this for 2+ years now, and like I was always like, yeah, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to be on YouTube. I need to be making TikTok, like whatever. Like I need to be anywhere other than Twitch, because I would stream 12 hours and like to like basically no one and like see very little growth. And I'm like, man, I really need to be on other platforms, and I never would do it. And my mom's like, you're so dedicated when it comes to streaming. Why aren't you like doing the other shit? And I'm like, I'm just not motivated to. And I realized like it's because I don't need to. Like I want to, but I don't need to. And like it wasn't until I like made myself get in that mindset of like, I need to make this work. I need to do these things, because it's like, for me, it's a purpose thing. And that like I'm a little more spiritual about, I think, this whole thing than a lot of other people are. But like for me, it really is like, I feel like this is my life purpose, and I feel like I'm like failing myself if I don't make this shit work out. And like that's where I'm like
it's
every
also
day.
like the skills you need too. Like there are certain skills you have to be a people person. You have to be outgoing. You can't be in your own shell, because that's the only way you're really gonna grow.
Right.
And like there's even skills that I've had to learn that I wouldn't even be anywhere near where I'm at.
And you talked about that, like when you first started managing Peter, you didn't know what you were doing, but you learned like along the way. And I think that's the beauty of this industry, is you can do that. Like just fucking start streaming, start editing TikTok, start like whatever. Just start doing it and learn through failure, learn through process of elimination, and develop those skills. Basically give yourself on the job training, and then you're making yourself valuable. You're making yourself to where you're more likely to have a career for that same reason. Like most people that are successful in this industry didn't get some kind of training. They didn't go to school for it. Like they just like had a passion, they had some talent, and they're like, okay, I'm going to apply these things. And they started doing it. And then you just learn on the job. And I mean, it almost is like, you kind of bullshit your way into things and then learn as you're doing it. And like, that's just, you know.
Well, I would say the 5 like main, this is my prediction like for the future. Everybody who is learning high value skills like within the industry or within any industry of social media, if you can learn how to post on social media, edit videos using like Premiere Pro, Vegas, whatever it is, if you can post, edit, graphic design, basic graphic design, nothing crazy, learn how to use time management and actually manage people, and then finally like put it all together and actually be able to shoot the video itself, like hold a camera and shoot it, you're going to be more valuable than somebody with a college degree.
Yeah.
Because like there's people that I'm friends with who are like, you know, huge marketing major, you know, at a huge university, and he has no clue how to work a camera or post on social media. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how the hell do you not know how to market?
Well,
dude,
how do you not know how to market?
Yeah,
like, you literally have to market by doing that stuff.
That's the funny thing about college, is like all of the stuff that you learn at college was learned by people applying themselves and finding this knowledge by applying themselves in those industries. I mean, it's like all the stuff that we know about money, marketing, whatever, was done mostly by people that never got a college degree, because they're going out and doing the shit, building businesses and finding out how to do it best. They learn by process of elimination, and you just learn what they learned in a classroom. And it's like, so for this industry, we don't have that yet. It's too new.
Some people haven't realized that social media is like the thing that marketing is social media now. Like, I don't think people in marketing and themselves have realized that, because there's things literally
it's not
that point out to you.
billboards. It's like, it's not any of that shit anymore. Like we're in the digital age, we're in the social media
looks
age.
at your billboard and will be like, yo, I'm gonna buy that, unless it's something to do with social media.
Or you're over 50 years old.
There's literally signs that are pointing to it. There's drop shipping, which is you're marketing your product for a better price. You're getting profit off of it.
Right.
Same with SMMA, social media marketing agency. You, in one way to put it, you are getting paid by a smaller business to then pay someone else to help shoot content, to help boost their social media, to help build a website.
Yeah, and to draw this back to Fort, I mean, you talk about like who's in the industry that who just got signed to Gary Vayner, which was Clicks, and like Gary Vayner, his whole thing was marketing. He was a social media marketer, and that's how he built his he did this, like the wine business, but like his real rise to wealth and fame was that he was doing marketing for other businesses.
He was part of Vayner's thing.
Yeah, he's under Vayner now, but like
It's very
Vayner,
surprising, but
Vayner is like he got in early, and like we said, like he made a fuck ton of money because he was in the social media era before social media was like massive. Like he started that social media consulting when Facebook was like the main social media back then,
yeah,
and like he kind of predicted and preempted Instagram and then Twitter and like all the stuff that is part of our mainstay now. So it's like you have to know the industry inside out, like to understand where it's going, be able to predict that properly, and then you innovate a way to monetize that. And that's where I think esports is right now. You have opportunity right now to find whatever that new thing is, to predict whatever that new thing is. And I talked about this for Fort, like it's absolutely heading in a direction right now of like basically making like a more mature version of like Roblox. Like you have the Creative 2.0, you have the IP, the intellectual property acquisitions. Like they are absolutely heading in that direction, and that's where they want to be, where other people are making the games for them, and they're just like this massive game hub because that transcends genre. It's not just a shooter anymore. It gets audiences of all ages, all like platforms, whatever, to all of the same place. And like I saw that a year ago, and it's like people need to that's something where it's like how do you innovate that? Well, like map making, for example, you can monetize that, and if you get one that's popular in that format of like Roblox, like the most popular Roblox games make a shit ton of money. It's crazy. Like these guys are like independent developers that are making full-time livings off of this. I mean, even the map creators in Fortnite, you have 5 people that are getting paid $10 million plus a year off of this
I was
stuff.
so shocked seeing that. I was so shook seeing that. I was like, y'all are rich and y'all
I didn't think it got that high. I thought maybe like millionaire status. 10 million a year is insanity.
I could see for someone like Panville, because when COVID hit, his smartest idea of clicks box fights was the smartest thing he could have done. And that type of thing I was like, oh yeah, this dude has like 1 million. No, 10 million is crazy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't Clicks Box Fights isn't branded anymore because his code was taken away. It's not well, it's now back, but it was Panville Box Fights for a solid like bit, a year or whatever it was.
I also think that lands could be a big like I feel like there are more ways to make that monetizable or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I mean we talked about like org skins. We want org skins to happen so bad. I mean you talked about that at the what was it? The Epic partner party or the after party invitational or whatever.
Yeah, invitational. I'll explain it real quick. The Epic went around like literally Epic employees. It was an invite only party. You had to go like get your name on the list or whatever. And I happened to get invited, and I went. And we sat down as me, Darren Glover, who's Buka's manager, Clicks videographer Xavier, and we sat down and we're just talking. And Click's dad came over and was just saying like, just talk about money and business and, what the future plans are moving forward. And then all of a sudden the Epic employee comes over, and I kid you not, I was the most impressed I've ever been. Comes over and goes, hey, what would you change about the event? And what would you change about like the community in the game? And literally pulled out a notepad and started taking notes. And we sat there and just rambled shit off. And obviously those changes probably haven't been implemented, but it's about the effort. Like the effort's there, which for me was enough. It was enough for me at that point in time.
How, like, speaking of lands kind of more in general, because like we've talked about invitational, like how you didn't go to the Red Bull one, but like you went to the most recent Dallas. Obviously, are you going to Saudi later this year?
Sounds like it. We'll see.
Yeah,
it depends. It depends on what Elite does and how people end up, because right now Kwanti's qualified with Rats, obviously. But if Justin doesn't go, then I think I will go. But if not, maybe not. I don't know. Well, I'm still playing it by year.
Yeah, you got time. You
but
got
I just like I mean, kind of what are your thoughts? Because I feel like LAN is a huge opportunity, and I feel like there could be a lot more done. And I feel like honestly, like Invitational was especially for a first one was unbelievable. I mean, it was such a great event. And I really want to see, like, I'm really excited for Copenhagen, because I feel like it's going to be an improvement upon that. And like, especially on an international, like that's just such a special, like once in a lifetime type thing. But anyway,
one
continue.
of the embarrassing things that I looked at you could walk around the room and like at Invitational in the practice room, and you could see all the orgs there. You could see all the EU guys. They all had cameras, all like had this professional shit. And then you would walk around and see like their management there, and you'd see all this stuff. And then you walk around, you look at NA, and it was just like Dignitas, which had Miro at the time. It was just Miro. And then like Pigot was there obviously, and that was it. Like you had PSG, TNA there, and they're not a thing anymore. So it's like this next LAN, what orgs are actually gonna step up and go? Because like for Elite, like I was in the meetings, I was in Elite at the time, and I go, that was a huge missed opportunity. Like yeah, they had nobody playing in it, but it was a missed opportunity. The fact that we didn't even care to go and like make content with the backups. I was there. I could have done it, but at the time I didn't have the resources to do it. I was there for the sole purpose of Peter. But now it's like whoever calls the Copenhagen, who's gonna step up to the plate and nail the content because you're there for a week, and who's gonna step up and actually do everything. That's like that.
I can tell you certain orgs that are gonna do that,
and all that.
I can tell you certain orgs that are gonna do that. PL, Elite, Dignitas.
I mean we're
I don't even know other than that.
But what I'm getting at is that there was a missed opportunity last year.
No, for sure.
All of the North American orgs missed the ball there. And
that was something that at Dallas I was like, we are not missing this. Like I was nonstop, dude. Every second that I was in that venue, I was doing something. I was doing interviews. I was doing like we did our own watch party on the broadcast where we had like the mic set up, like it was like a real like sports center type vibe, and that was like really cool, really good for the community, like whatever. We did so many interviews, so many pictures, like because it was like this is the best opportunity that you're gonna have to make this type of content that people are going to want to see.
Make an actual impact.
Yeah, and it's so personal, and it gets people to become fans and rally behind you and whatnot. And like I'm glad because this is kind of a good segue. Like I wanted to talk about this too. Of like that's where content houses have failed too, is they have that opportunity every single day and they do not take advantage of it. And I've always been so mad because I'm like, dude, you get me like, do you know Valorant like at all? Like the Valorant scene? Yeah. So like FaZe Muse and like his house, like the social sellouts or whatever, they've done it perfectly in my opinion. Like they all have their individual streams, they all stream in the same house, but they have a team channel that is like for the house, and then they have a podcast that they do that's for the house, and like they all appear on each other's streams and whatnot. Like I feel like that's where, especially now with everyone moving out to Dallas, a lot of people moving in together, I'm like, please take advantage of those opportunities in terms of content, because you have such a unique one, like to be able to do things with other creators that people care about. It's good networking. It gets both of your audiences engaged in other people. Like I feel like it's just such an overlooked thing, and I really wish that that orgs and whatnot did a better job of like taking advantage of that. Like I know if we get a PL house, I'm doing a podcast with all the guys that live in the house. I'm making content with them consistently. I'm appearing on their streams. Like you gotta make it worth the while, or else it's just another like, oh, we're paying for something that isn't providing anything monetarily.
Well, my outlook on like a content house, I think it's good if you have good management, like actual, like there has to be, it can't just be 5 creators in a house because nothing will ever get done. Like there has to be management, there has to be a set time. Like, hey, we're doing team recordings here, and here. You have to be there. If you're not there, you're not getting paid. You're paying rent, whatever it is. Whatever your deal is, or however you work it. But like I said, I think the management part's huge because, like, for example, one of the things in Elite was they were like, "There's no way we can get there and have everybody sit down for recording." And I go, "They're getting paid by us. They are sitting down and doing the recording, whether they like it or not. They're gonna do it, and they're gonna be enthusiastic about it." And it wasn't forced. Like you saw, the videos were fun, so it was enthusiasm. It was outgoing, and that's how it needs to be. And that's like what is organic, and that's how the good content is actually being created.
Yeah,
like 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that is it's, and I think it goes back to like what we were talking about with org relationships earlier, of like a lot of the kids view the relationship the wrong way with them in the org. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we're paying your contract, we're getting you to wherever you're going, like whatever. Like this is your end of the deal. Like you don't just get to be here, siphon money off of us and not do anything for us. Like you being on and like your name isn't as much weight as a lot of them think. Like obviously that's part of the reason why they sign you, but like you need to be contributing in that same sense. And at the end of the day, again, it benefits both of you. Like Elite's YouTube doing well, if the videos continue to pop off like that because you're making good, enthusiastic, not like the most boring content to watch because it's an org channel, like that's going to benefit all of them in the future. If Elite gets 100,000 views per video, that directly links back to all of them growing, all of their brands growing, whatever. And I think that it's that, like, a lot of them don't have that idea instilled in them of like, yeah, this can be beneficial for multiple people other than just you. Because I think a lot of them are so used to like one-way transactions or people using each other or snaking each other or like kind of the backstabby way that some of the people in the industry are. And it's like, no, this is how actual business is like done in the long run. I mean, and we've seen the orgs that try and do it the selfish way where they just try and use people. They've all collapsed. I mean, you talk about the XSets, the 33s, like all of the people who have done scummy and selfish shit and whatever have sunk. Like they've not survived the long run. Like obviously they make some money and some of those guys get away with profit even, but like they don't get to continue what they're doing. They don't get to change the scene. They don't get to be here and now.
Yeah. Well, and they're not developing long-lasting relationships that could benefit you later on down the road. Like I always look at it this way: is like if I'm going to develop a relationship with somebody, I could expect that if my relationship with you is good, 5 years down the road, if you have an opportunity for me, that's an opportunity I should be able to take. But that's also an opportunity that you should be able to take if you need help. Like it's a two-way street.
Right.
And that's why it's like so crazy because there's people don't see the full picture.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of hit everything I've wanted to, unless you got anything else you want to hit.
I mean, we talked about this, but I kind of wanted to dive into this a little bit more. We talked about this in Dallas, but if you were to run an org, like let's say 5 years down the line, you get in this position where now you're the head guy at some org, and you had X amount of budget, like a reasonable budget, and you were to build like your ideal roster or whatever, what would it look like?
Now, is this just Fortnite, or are we talking like any game? Because I personally, I love Rocket League.
Really?
Like I love Rocket League, dude. If you're an org looking to expand in a game, Rocket League's the way to go. It's monetizable. You're in the esports shop. You get your own decals, which are sick, and everyone loves the decals.
Yeah.
And you get to create your own, and then like, that's huge. But it's also a team game mode where you can develop those team vibes.
Yeah.
So the way I kind of look at Rocket League obviously is like soccer. It's your like football. It's your team sports. And then you have like your Fortnite, which is more like tennis and golf, which is more individual stuff. But you can combine those worlds and you can make it work.
Yeah.
So it's my thing is Rocket League. But if we're like talking about people right now, like if I decide for 6 guys, like to run an org, I really only think you need 4 to 6, and I think 6 is pushing it because you have to be able to manage all of them and make sure that they're all actually doing their job and they're not just getting paid.
Well, yeah, because you spread your development tools thin when you have more than that, and that's like the biggest. Like I'm under the same belief. I'm like, for me, one, I don't know if I buy into the whole pure pro player thing anymore because I'm just like, I'd rather have someone who makes good content and is really good at that and marketing themselves, who places like decently. Maybe they qual the grands, maybe they even don't. But like if they're streaming every event, if they're like whatever, like I'd much rather that, and then like develop them to their highest potential as a creator, than have 8 great pro players who maybe make one good video between them every few months. Like it just feels like a waste. Like I love the pro players and I respect what they do, but it's like in terms of orgs and profitability and monetizability, like I'd much rather have people who are at the very minimum pro players who are capable of being on camera and not looking like the most awkward people in the universe.
And also, like people don't talk about this too, and this is like a rough subject, but it's like you have to not be like attractive, but you can't be ugly. Like, and I hate I hate to be that guy, but it's true, bro. If you're like an ugly dude, or you're not very attractive, I shouldn't say ugly. If you're not a very attractive guy, it's hard for like you to get sponsors. Like, look at anybody like American Eagle. American Eagle looks at people who are like good looking, tall, you know, thin, maybe strong, like
because
stuff like that.
That's marketing psychology. I mean, people are more likely to buy products from people that they find attractive. That's just a fact, and it's an unfortunate fact, but it's a fact. I mean, you can't ignore that. And when you're a business, when your sole target is money, that's what you have to do. I mean, that's why models are the way they are. Like, and
it's also like the gaming outlook. Like if you see a gamer, you think fat guy eating pizza, like that's like what gaming is. But in reality, it's like the people that are signed aren't those kind of people.
Yeah.
And it's true. I hate to say it, but it's true. But yeah, if I had to do like an ideal 4 right now, that were like, if I had to do it, I would do like, I love Polar. I think Polar is great. I feel like his personality is a little flail sometimes. Just like from when I tuned into a stream, but great dude. I met him at DreamHack. I'd do Pete. I'd do Bucky. I think Bucky has a lot of potential, even though his branding is very what's it called, like shambles, as I think is a good word for it right now.
Yeah.
I think Bucky
Well, but
provides
he
a
could
lot.
obviously be built to an entertainer. I mean, he's just
100%.
he knows how to flip that switch, especially too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, okay, I'm in content mode right now, and I mean, I think what's best about him is he tries to pack every second possible with the same caliber of content. Like it's just, like every second that he's like in that content mode, he's trying to create something that can be clippable, that can be a video, that can be whatever. And he's like, he just goes until he's off. Like, cause like I ran into him at a I think it was at the venue or whatever, and he was just super chill, like off camera. He's just
Yeah.
like I mean, he's like energetic and he's a little bit like reckless or whatnot, but like he was not at all like how he is, on stream, because it's like he knows how to get his energy up for it and keep it up while he's making content, and he knows how to keep that consistent. Because like some people, even on stream, they're so like shaky in that, but he kind of knows how to treat it like a business of like, okay, I'm in character now. I mean, it's not quite the same as acting, but there are some similarities where it's like, okay, I need to flip into character, and like there I go.
No, yeah, 100%. And I think he's like I said, he's really good at that, and he's able to entertain. Like he's actually entertaining.
Yeah.
Even though his thing is shambles, like his branding is shambles, and people are like, he's out of pocket and all this shit. But it's like, if you talk to him behind camera, he's a good dude. But
Yeah.
I also would say like, I kind of somebody I would also go after like would be like Kwanti. I think Kwanti is a prime example. Like Kwanti is, I mean, is just like Ed Penn. Like those are the guys you want.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Kwanti got approached by another organization who like if I would tell you it and then you hear like that in Elite, it's like holy shit, like he picked Elite over them. Like it's like what it is. But it's literally only because Elite's more active in the scene. Like they're doing stuff in person and he's with his friends. Like why would you not want to be with your friends and be in an active organization? So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Cleared most of what I've wanted to talk about. I mean,
yeah, I think I'm good as well. So,
That's
CMills, we have a tradition.
don't forget it.
Oh, fine. So
You
what
were-
are
you
your
see?
what are
You're
your
gonna forget it.
we talked about it, but like that's fine. But what are your future plans? What's coming up for you?
dude.
Like that you can talk about, obviously.
Okay, my future plans that I can talk about are like I said, I kind of said earlier, I want to build a business around each one of my clients that is monetizable towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, for example, like I said, Peter mouse pads or whatever he ends up doing. I don't really care what it is, but that's what I want to do. Kind of like how Nelka's Happy Dad. I want to build a business like that. That's like something that you can be passionate about, but it's not solely based off them.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that's coming up. And I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing. I don't plan on picking up like more clients. I just think I'm gonna rock with the guys I got, and if another opportunity comes, maybe I'll pick it up. But right now, I mean, I feel like I'm chilling right now. You know.
Yeah.
So okay, and then the traditional last question is always, if you just had to give one piece of advice, it could be content management, Fortnite, life, whatever, to the audience, what would it be?
My one piece of advice for everybody listening, this one's pretty deep. Always bet on yourself. Like that is the one thing I would always say is always bet on yourself, no matter the situation, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what you're doing. Like, because you control your own destiny and you can like kind of set out. It's like you only can control the yourself. That's literally it. You
only control the situation that you put yourself
and
in.
we talked about like, I mean at Dallas, even we talked about like with Zax. Like Zax went to Invitational on like his last dime and like made that shit happen because he was betting on himself. Like you got to know where your talents are. You got to develop that to the point where you're confident enough in it to take those types of risks where it's like, yep, I'm going to do this thing that everyone says is crazy because I know that I can make it work with the talents or gifts or work ethic that I have.
You're crazy until it's normal.
Exactly.
Until it's
Exactly.
normal.
Well, yeah. I mean,
everybody said I was crazy, and then now I'm sitting there and I was just like,
and everyone's trying to hit you up, and No, I mean that is it. Like, I mean, I've even gotten to that point somewhat more recently where people are like, oh wow, like you weren't crazy for doing all this shit, sitting inside, working this hard, like whatever. Or like, yeah, I mean, I went to Invitational on basically my last dime too, and like I made connections there that now people are like, oh shit, like I've heard your name and like whatnot. Like getting recognized at Dallas was a crazy thing for me. Like I got recognized at the airport, which is wild, but like I got recognized by several people that like called out by name, and I'm like, there's no way that this person of like this caliber knows me, but like it is. I mean, it is. It's like it's crazy. It is, but you got to do it. It's like it's crazy because people aren't you, and they don't know how much you want it or how much like how confident you are in it, and like they just can't understand. But it's like when you have that need inside of you to do whatever it is, that passion for whatever you want to be doing. I think the greatest failure, and really the only failure in life, is the failure to try, because you're just going to live in regret. I mean, it's like, just go and try it. I mean, the worst case scenario, right? Like let's say with you, like worst case scenario, you tried this managing shit, didn't work out, you went to college and still got a great job. Like, like you had a normal life, but like, how much more regret
from it?
How
like,
much
I can
more
take away videography and everything I've learned from doing it and how to manage people.
Yeah,
which is it's unteachable. Like it's unteachable unless you do it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely
no. I mean, and like there are so many people. I think they would say that would be the greatest regret that they have is trying, and even people who have failed. I mean, a crazy number. It's like 80% of entrepreneurs fail too, and it's like fail and go bankrupt. But I think almost all of them would say, yeah, I'm glad I tried it though, because like. And then usually they start 3 to 4 businesses before they are successful. But they're like, every single one of those, they're glad that they tried. They're glad that they went bankrupt, because if they had never tried, they would never know what could have been. And like that's I think living in fear of like that what could have been, like that's my greatest fear by far. I will never do that. Like I would much rather be down to $0, be in debt, whatever, and like try whatever it is. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, yeah. If my last dollars have to go to a new PC to make this like content shit work, that's what's gonna happen, because I'd much rather be broke and make shit work and recover than like never know what could have been. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for yet another installment of the GhostComms podcast. This was CMills. We'll have his socials linked down below. Make sure you go watch the Dallas episode where he talked a lot more about this stuff. We talked for 4 hours with a lot of behind the scenes people in the scene. Make sure you check us out down below. Like, subscribe, go to our socials, whatever. And we will see y'all in the next one.
Later, everybody.
Peace.